3.0. I'm going to be going over this patch. I know a lot of stuff in this patch, but it is very, very large and includes a lot of unit adjustments, and I'm going to go over it because I love going over patches. And yeah. So this is Total Warhammer 3.0 update. This obviously has the Chaos Dwarves. Shocking that the Chaos Dwarves are here. There's Gordo's Backstabber. He's a legendary hero. Legendary hero. If I miss-say legendary hero and legendary lord, I promise I'm going to do that once. So just bear with me. He is a legendary hero, as in not a lord. They even say that here. He's for Chaos Dwarves. They get the new lore of magic, the lore of Hashinshin. It'll, to be honest, it probably won't be that interesting if I'm going to be blunt, because it'll just be like another like buff spell that's terrible and unusable and costs too much mana. One nuke that is good early game because it doesn't do any armor pen. One nuke that's good late game because it does a lot of armor pen. One nuke that's just really overpowered for no reason. It's all the lores of magic are like the same. There's a couple that are interesting. What is it? Tempest can double. I don't think it's double, but you can get like 40% more range and accuracy on your units. So you can like surprise, and all of the sudden Streltsy have like 240 range and pew pew. Okay, but other than that, yeah, okay. Construct a great drill of Heshit to break open Heshit's domain and siphon his blood for cataclysmic powers. That's just their special campaign in the special campaign thing. Cooperate with your fellow dwarves to obtain district rewards in the Tower of Czar, or usurp others for their seats in your quest for supremacy. This is just all the Chaos Dwarf stuff. Jump into the Chaos Dwarves today. Okay, so this is a new thing they added. Is a free DLC. Take on the role of a demon prince Zinch and strive against unending nightmares in the Mirror of Madness. This mighty collaboration comes from the mind of Intel and Creative Assembly and is free for all. It's basically a sponsorship with Intel. So like Intel and Creative Assembly got together, they're making this mode, and apparently kills your CPU. The DLC is live now, yes. Launching today, the Trials of Fate pits you, a newly ascended demon prince, against ever-growing hordes of enemies as you reach back through time to engage in some of the most infamous battles ever fought in the known world. Slaughter your foes, utilize bespoke abilities and spells, and score high to acquire a Zinch-themed gear set for use in your Demon Prince, Realm of Chaos, and Mortal Empires campaigns. But don't rest quite yet, for Kairo's Fate Reaver awaits you in the realms of Zinch. Ready to become the blah blah blah. I don't know how this is gonna work, but do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that game mode for Dawn of War 2? What was it called? Last Stand or something like that? I'm kind of hoping it plays like that. I haven't personally witnessed it. I don't really know, but that one was really popular. It was a bit simplistic, so maybe by today's standards, like since people have gotten so used to MOBAs and stuff like that, it would need to be a little bit more complicated to be like interesting. But yeah. Ulrika Magdovda. So, Kislev and Empire can get Ulrika Magdovda. She is a legendary hero. She stays with you. She's a ranged and melee hero. She's a Slav vampire. So you can get a vampire as Kislev and Empire now, yes. You can also kill her if you want to be a purist, but she's ranged, melee, hybrid. She's pretty good at both. She also gives army-wide buffs, so that's pretty good. Importantly, it gives Empire a hero that they can put their good items on, because right now all Empire can do is put items on like what is it, like Captain, like Empire Captain, I don't remember. It's really bad. But if you want to like giga buff a hero to follow around your lord, kind of like if you play Warriors of Chaos, ignoring the unique heroes, but like just the exalted hero of whatever, those ones are always really strong. So if you put items on them, they would always do really good. This seems to kind of give like Empire and Kislev. Kislev desperately needed a hero as well. Yeah. This is just Kislev and Empire though. You can't get this on Norska. That would be dumb. There's a random button. You can now choose a random faction. It's just random. Stability and performance stuff. I'm going to skip over that. There's hopefully nothing important there. Gameplay updates. If you hover over a landmark, you can now see what the landmark will be before you select it, which is important as they add more and more landmarks to the game. It's kind of important. Like if I decide to play dwarves and I see there's a dwarven landmark, right? Because there's dwarven landmarks everywhere, right? Or if I'm playing lizardmen and there's lizardmen landmarks everywhere. Although I think there's more dwarves than lizardmen. But anyway, it's kind of like important that you can kind of like see them, and you don't need to play through an entire campaign, then start another campaign to like understand what's going on. Leading to the new pack file limit that increases the number of mods that can be hypothetically run simultaneously. You can now use more mods. I don't know why you would, but we had a new panel that allows you to search for certain items on the campaign map. These two categories for search options available: physical items, settlements, provinces, factions, and characters, and landmarked resources. Okay, so you can now search iron, or you can search for a landmark, or you can like type in a settlement name and find the settlement, stuff like that. At least that's how I think it works, from what I understand. Multiple buildings that were incorrectly marked as destructible have been updated game-wide, including those found within maps for vampire counts, dwarves, dark elves, and more. I don't know what that really means. I'm gonna be blunt. Sorry. Updated the campaign map battle selection for both Realms of Chaos and Immortal Empires campaign maps to ensure the correct battle tiles are displayed. I think that's just like when you hover over the map before battle. Increase the effect of a Stranger Comes event for all Order factions. Okay. New regions and provinces have made the way in the Realms of Chaos and Immortal Empires. Okay. Basically, the Mountains of Morn, like where the ogres are, is not shit anymore. And the Darklands are also not shit anymore. So there's not this like really weird, like huge gap in between Cathay and Empire. And then like anyone who tries to get in that region just sucks. You no longer need to run. To my knowledge, there's a few settlements that are still a bit away from each other, but you should no longer have to like force march for 3 turns to get to some settlements early game. Blah, blah, blah. This is just some stuff here. Okay, so AI logic is hopefully better. I don't really need to go through all of these. Basically, the AI is trying to be smarter in battles. You'll have to figure it out for yourself, because going through all of these would not do us any good, and a lot of them are pretty niche. Like, in settlement battles, when the attacking army is AI controlled, it will more consistently deploy a nearby reinforcement arrival location and wait for reinforcements before proceeding. So it already did that, but now it'll more consistently do that. Campaign AI is probably the more important one. Adjusted the strategic threat calculations for Immortal Empires. Direct actions against a faction are much more important in that calculation, and the importance of distance scaling has been increased, improving the way AI will select the most relevant threats. So hopefully, hopefully this means that the AI will no longer declare war on you. Like, hopefully you won't be playing down. If you ever seen this before, hopefully you won't be playing Rapans in the fucking Southlands, and then Wulfric declares on you, and for some reason sails all the way down. Further tweaks have been made to the AI recruitment's priorities to favor high-value units. Additionally, the AI will place more weight on building a recruitment building, or if they are without one. Fix various cases of AI trying to enter stances which were invalid, leading to it trying to perform moves which were invalid. Okay? Fix the AI control option for allied armies not showing when being attacked by an enemy. Fixed cases of AI trying to apply commandments to provinces it didn't own. Fixed a bug that meant the AI... Fixed a bug which meant that the AI became less likely to generate a peace deal the further away the target was. Less likely to generate a peace deal the further away they were. Okay, so this is why you just got locked in perma-stupid wars. Again, Wulfric declares war on you, and then we'll sit at war with you the entire game, and you're just sitting there going, please... All factions now care about their strategic situation when generating a war declaration goal. Okay, this should hopefully stop dumb shit like, God, have you seen this one? Mulder is getting destroyed. Like, Kislev is destroying Clan Mulder, and they're just like, that's it, we're going to war with this guy over here. And they send all their armies over there, and, yeah. Hopefully this stops that from happening. Improved AI performance in the first turn of the game. That should help multiplayer if nothing else. Minor AI factions should now be more accepting of vassalization. Okay. Fix some cases where the AI attempting to calculate the strength of a force is resulting in incorrect behavior. Hopefully that stops the suicide battles where like an AI just runs up a suicide stack and you just auto-resolve it, taking 7 casualties, and you're just like, what? Reduce the distance required for maximum distance modifiers to... Reduce the distance required for the maximum distance modifiers to be applied in both deal generation and deal evaluation. Okay, so basically, they're reeling back how far the AI is willing to declare war and pieces and stuff like that. Once again, this should hopefully stop Wolfric sailing across the entire world to screw with you because he's just a dick. War declaration on a faction of the same subculture is less likely for High Elf Major, Empire Major, and all Lizardman factions. Hopefully, this should stop when you're playing in the Southlands from the other Lizardmen always declaring war on you. So you always have to kill Tic-Tac-Toe as Krokgar, and you always have to kill Krokgar as Tic-Tac-Toe. So hopefully, because Lizardmen can confederate Lizardmen, right? And Lizardmen do not have good lords. Only Krokgar can really get good lords. The Slann are okay, I'll give you that. But I think most people would prefer to have an actual, like, legendary lord, I guess. I mean, Slann are fine. I mean, yeah, of all factions, they probably have decent ones. Empire has probably the worst. Empire, Kislev, and Norska do not have particularly amazing lords. At least Norska can eventually get a Mammoth, but Mammoth attack and defense has always been really bad, and so they always underperform. All factions now consider war losses when evaluating peace deal. Previously, Skaven, Majors, Dwarves, and Tomb Kings were not. I don't know if I like that one, because a Skaven just being willing to send endless armies into you rather than peace out kind of felt thematic, as did the Tomb Kings, as did the Dwarves. So, I mean, I guess it's annoying when the Tomb Kings are just perma-warring you, or when the Skaven are just non-stop attacking you, or the Dwarves. But, like, isn't that their thing? Shouldn't different factions have different diplomacy? Okay. Line of sight. Line of sight has been a sticking point. Warhammer 3 is overall battle responsiveness, and we're making some adjustments. Okay. Line of sight is being adjusted. Hopefully, this should stop you having to manually tell gunpowder units to attack every single time, and they literally only fire if you're shooting up a hill or down a hill on average. So basically, wall collision on Dwarven maps, Ogre Kingdom, environmental objects, several constructible towers, Bretonia and Grand Cathay Market Souls Tents, blah, 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 blah. Further tweaks, updated the building collision, updated and corrected the logic. Hopefully this should help line of sight. Hopefully it should help line of sight. Okay, let's see, we have races and balance. Now this is the most important stuff. With the Chaos Lives here, we're adamant about improving the quality of life that some of the factions have been struggling from the outset. Therefore, some adjustments have been made to their starting positions, or the strength of nearby settlements, to allow them to take a second settlement on their first turn, bringing them in line with other factions. Zhao Ming can actually take the second settlement without microing like a goddamn Giga Chad. Huh? Okay. Dude, have you ever played a Zhao Ming campaign? His early game was legitimately difficult. It wasn't as bad as old Catarin's campaign, but like, it was bad. Okay, Krokgar, you actually could do, but you had to play out the battles. I would do it every time, but having to play out the first and second battle, and then the third, and then the fourth, because for some reason, it hella underrated how much a blessed Saurus with shield. What you would do is you had your little skink and you would constantly bless. You'd use what is it, harmonic convergence, something like that. You would use his high heavens magic, and you'd constantly buff the melee attack and defense of your Saurus with shield, and they would get like 500, 600, 700 Skaven kills just massacring through them because they'd only have like a 5% chance to be hit. Yeah. So hopefully this means Krokgar's campaign isn't really tedious. Tehen Huan, I don't even know who that is. Oh wait, that's a shitty lizardman. I don't care about him. Zhao Ming is important because Zhao is supposed to be a fun campaign, but having to be a micro god and do extremely abusive cheese, like use your lord and run around and get all the AI to like attack you, and then you animate stuff and then you knock them. Like having to do all this stuff just to get through your early game with him was really tedious. Gracious wasn't actually that bad, but he did have to play out some battles, which should hopefully be better. Torox I have not played. He's just so overpowered. I just haven't really felt any interest in playing him. Sneaked. He did have to play out some of his stuff, but Sneaked is actually really goddamn overpowered right now. Like, he's actually really overpowered right now. Gorsht is interesting because a lot of people already hate Gorsht. Vampires have a tendency to zombie stack you to death, and Gorsht is particularly notable for this because he buffs zombies. So some factions, if they can't auto-resolve Gorsht, can't actually fight him to death. So him having a stronger early game kind of makes some factions a bit frustrating, but we'll see. Fae Enchantress, I didn't ever play her just because I'm not really that interested in Bretonnia, but that might change because some of the changes coming to Bretonnia look kind of interesting. Assyrian's Incantation of Vengeance. -2 mana on both of those. This is what I was talking about. Oh god, okay, I'm just gonna Google that one. This is Assyrian's Incantation of Vengeance. Okay. I think it's a damage spell. Dude, if there's one thing that frustrates me really badly, I do not understand. Is this not, I don't know. Dude, the wiki for Total War is really bad. Vargheist Revenge. I don't remember any of these. Dude, the reason I don't remember any of these is because I never use them. Okay. Well, I don't use them because they're bad. Assyrian's Incantation of Vengeance minus... Oh, no, that's for the Tomb Kings. That's their direct target and slow, right? Oh, I'm remembering this now. Don't ask me why I just remember this. This is a spell for the Tomb Kings that does direct damage and slows. It's like a Spirit Leech, but it slows and costs more mana. And yeah, it was goddamn useless. At 9 mana versus Spirit Leech is 6, you're paying 3 extra mana to get a 25% slow. That's probably actually worth it now. Especially because Tomb Kings can deal with infantry easily. A lot of factions can deal with infantry easily. But then they can struggle against lords. Oh, is this an AoE? So it's a single target nuke that slows and does damage. Okay, it's still fine. At 9 mana, that should still be fine. Vargheist Revenge. I don't remember this one, man. Lore of the Deep. Well, there you go. Because Lore of the Deep is like one good spell. Expensive and slow to cast. Well, I think they're doing it. Are they nerfing it? Wait, are they nerfing it? I think they're nerfing Lore of the Deep. Wait, but isn't Vampire Coast only good for Lore of the Deep? And now they're nerfing Lore of the Deep. I mean, that's a nerf, because this is a buff, and that's a nerf, right? So, Vargheist Revenge goes up 4 mana. Kraken's Pull goes up 3 mana. Plague is going up 1 mana. But it will expand faster at less range. Okay. Firestorm is going from 40 Explosion Force to 500. So it should knock people down better. But the movement speed is going down. I don't know what the movement speed... Some of these are a bit too complicated for my small, feeble brain. Maximum angle change per target change frequency. Good. The maximum angle change per movement charge frequency is going double. That's good, everyone. Okay, Flamestorm upgraded. The Gem of Sunfire. I don't know what that is, but it will knock people away better. Toothcracker, cost down. Toothcracker upgraded, cost down. Death Frost, cost down. Death Frost, that was for... I think that's got to be Kislev. I just don't remember. Is that their Spirit Leech? Is this Kislev's Spirit Leech? It is. Isn't Spirit Leech only 6 mana? And this is still 12? Ugh. Is Spirit Leech more than 6? Is it like 9, maybe? I don't remember now. I just know, yeah. Curse of the Leper cost up. Curse of the Leper, Rancid Visitations cost down. Rancid Visitations upgraded, cost down 2. Talons and Night cost up 4. Talons and Night upgraded, cost up 4. Doom and Darkness cost down. Invocation of Heck. Wait, people were whining that Invocation of Heck was being nerfed into the ground. This is nerfed into the ground? Dude, I've literally never seen a community whinier than the CA community. I promise you, I've never in my life seen a community that whines harder than this community. They go up 1 mana. 1 mana? They go up 1 mana? And people are like, that's it, guys. They over-nerfed Tomb Kings because of multiplayer. They didn't even up... Wait, the cost for it upgraded isn't even going up. This is barely even a nerf. This is just early game spamming the shit out of Invocation on Manfred or Vlad nerf. That's about it. And to be honest, they're really overpowered right now as is. It's not even fun to play vampires right now because they're so overpowered. So in all honesty, nerfing the early game, that's good. $2 below, mana cost up 3. That's brutal. Pit of Shades, another nerf on Pit of Shades. Pit of Shades is probably one of the most over-nerfed abilities. Although I shouldn't even call it over-nerfed. It's really frustrating. To be honest, I think a lot of people that play single player don't understand. If the AI used any of these abilities properly, they would destroy the player. And my personal conspiracy theory is that the reason the AI will never be coded to use these properly is that if they are coded to use them properly, the player base will go, oh, that's how broken these abilities are? Oh, wow. Final Transmutation cost down by 1. That's good, but it upgraded is not down. Doom and Darkness cost down 1. Doom and Darkness, that sounds like a really useless... I'm just getting YouTube. Okay. That sounds like one of the useless undead abilities that I forgot about. Curse of the Midnight Wind. That costs down by 2. Lore of Heavens. Curse of the Midnight Wind. This reduces the melee attack and armor of an enemy in an AoE. 200 meters. Interesting. Curse of the Midnight Wind. Going from 17 to 15. Reducing the armor and melee attack of enemies by 30 is pretty good, I would say. It's probably a bit too expensive still. But, yeah. Wind Blast cost down. That's a bit surprising. I know it was really only good against early game Skaven, but it was really good against unarmored targets. But, yeah, that's, I mean, okay. Wind Blast does suffer from not scaling, I suppose. Light of Battle. Okay. Gorkle Fix It costs down. Which one is, oh god. I wish, Lore of the Little Wa. Gorkle Fix It. Speed reduction. Speed reduction on an enemy. From 7 to 6. 45% speed reduction, though, is pretty good. This would allow you to do a lot of things. I mean, I do think this is actually really good. Overall, it might sound like I'm not... Oh, wait. There's Final Transmutation. And Final Transmutation again. But didn't I see it up here? Am I crazy? Oh, is that... No, I did see it. Okay, so Final Transmutation went from 18 to 17, and Upgraded went from 28 to 26. I mean, if they make Lore of Little Wa better... So, like, okay, Night Shroud is going from 11 to 8. This stealths people. That's useless. I mean, no, it's still useless. I don't really see... I don't really see how stealthing people could ever be useful. I don't know. Even the AI isn't dumb enough to do that. Oh, here we go. Invocation to Heck and Invocation to Heck upgraded up 1. Raise Dead also up 1. I think the important thing about these nerfs though is because remember whenever you heal anything, you get a map wide heal on everything. So oh, Oh, okay. So they are nerfing. So Gorkle Vixid. I mean, basically they seem to try to touch up all the useless magic, but I don't think this is going to be enough. It's like, it's nice that they tried, but maybe do a second pass. Okay, so Master of the Dead is nerfed. Now your units have to actually die for you to start healing. So Master Necromancers and who gets it? I think it's Master Necromancers and Gorsht, and I think maybe even Kemmler get it. I think Kemmler maybe gets it. I'm not sure now. But this was a slight AoE heal that Necromancers had. It was added in Immortal Empires. This is something that a lot of people whining about undead nerfs don't actually want to acknowledge. When Mortal Empires was added, they added a shitload of stuff to undead. For example, Necromancers got 2 different passive skills, one of them being Master of the Dead, which gave them an AoE heal, and then I think on the campaign map, it, well, the 2 of them combined gave them casualty replenishment and raised dead cost and upkeep reduction on zombies that eventually became upkeep reduction on skeletons, and then also, obviously, the AoE heal. So with all that sort of stuff, and a lot of different units got a lot of different stuff, right? So when Master Necromancers got this, especially Kemmler and Gorsht, this giga buffed their power. If you play an undead campaign right now, I swear, I promise you, start with your Legendary Lord, get 2 Master Necromancers, follow him around. Once he can start auto-resolving stacks on his own, just send the Master Necromancers off to do their stuff. They'll basically cost, like, I don't know off the top of my head, but it can't be more than like 600-700 gold each. It's like some completely absurd number. Then you get your Bloodlord, and then you have the Bloodlord level with the Necromancers, and you can basically auto-resolve an entire undead vampire campaign. They're really overpowered. But this should also mean, this nerf should mean that you actually need your units to die now before it starts healing them. So, because the problem is, it would take a while, but your zombies would basically just never die. It was really lame. Okay, so Mistwalker Barrage. I'm assuming that's for Batman, right? Armor piercing damage up, magical attack, and projectile mass. Shadow Shroud. This sounds like an elf. The Dark Master. Oh boy, I do not remember all these names, man. Lord of Torment gets more mana regen, less healing. Shadow Shroud, more active time, more duration, more ward save. Lord of Torment, the Dark Master, rarity unique to uncommon, ability cost from 200 to 150. Whispers in the Darkness, you lose less leadership. Master of the Sacred Places, effect range up. Soul Hunter's ward save, giga nerfed from 22% to 10%. The Reliquary Binding. Which one was this? Oh, they giga nerfed the Mortis engine. Oh, wow. Okay, so Undead got their healing obliterated, which is a bit frustrating, I won't lie. But nerfed Undead that don't auto-win every single battle you actually play out is probably good for the game, and I might actually try Undead again. So, Mortis Engine now does half the healing. Unholy Lodestone now does half the healing. So when you combo that with Master of the Dead, zombies should no longer be healing 1% of their health every 4 seconds. And skeletons and Graveguard should also not be healing 1% of their health every 4 seconds. As you might imagine, the problem is Undead beat everyone in Melee forever. Literally everyone lost to Undead. Undead were unbeatable in Melee. You could not do it. It was absolutely impossible. If you went with a pure anti-Undead build, you still could not beat them in Melee. It was fun to play. I definitely like my Graveguard Phalanx. I love my Graveguard Phalanx. I love microing that. But, like, you would win basically every battle by just doing it properly. Yeah. Blade of Shadow nerf. Unholy Lodestone gives leadership, and the Reliquary Binding, that's more Ascension, now gives everyone magic damage. Now, Graveguard and Black Knights should be losing magic damage by default. That's one of the things they were talking about. Beastmen. Okay, so Beastmen, this is what I was looking for. Bestigor Herds gained 6 melee defense and 4 leadership. Okay, that should be good. From what I remember, Bestigors did enough damage, but the problem is the second they stopped charging, they instantly lost in melee. But this should hopefully stop it, so that if Bestigors get a good charge in, particularly like good rear charges, if you actually try to play Beastmen without just spamming monsters, and you get good charges in on Bestigors, the enemy shouldn't turn around and just, well, massacre them. 6 melee defense is pretty good. The leadership also means, in a pinch, they should be able to stay in the fight until they win it. Okay, so, general fixes. Sometimes they got double unit capacity. This is all just bug fixes here. Nothing is important. Cygor went from 17 melee defense to 25. Cygor will likely still suck, but at the very least, if you just run him down with like anti-large cavalry, he'll still probably die, but he won't be instantly annihilated. He'll just be mostly instantly annihilated. Okay, the Korok's Manripper's Bestigor Herd, the unique one, is getting 1 more damage, base damage, so questionably useful. 7 more melee attack and 4 more leadership. That's pretty good. What is the melee attack of a Bestigor Herd by default? So Korok's Manrippers will definitely be able to do good damage. 44 melee attack is a decent base. I don't remember how much Beastmen can buff Bestigors, but that should at least be something, right? The Tuskor Chariots, splash, attack, knockback, force multiplier up. Razorgore Chariots have more entity mass. Minotaurs with great weapons are getting nerfed a little bit. Eye of the Super Cygor is getting nerfed. Okay, so hopefully with great weapon Minotaurs getting a little bit of a nerf and Bestigors getting a little bit of a buff, hopefully people actually stop and get Bestigors at some point, because Beastmen are supposed to be charge infantry. There's not many charge infantries in the game, right? There's ogres and there's beastmen. Those are basically the only 2 factions with charge-based infantry. So it sucked that beastmen, their charge infantry, were absolutely terrible. Just some skills here. Picks a bunch of techs for beastmen. Okay, Bretonia, this should be the good one, because I've heard that Bretonia has been massively underpowered. And, basically, because Bretonia is so massively underpowered, that they are giving them very large buffs. Very large buffs. Okay. So, Battle Crew Pilgrims, upkeep down, recruit cost down. Grail Knights, 2 more melee defense, 6 more anti-large. Going from 12 to 18 anti-large, that's pretty good. 2 more melee defense means 34 melee defense at tier 5. That means they're still going to melt, but they won't melt as quickly. Grail Guardians, these are ones getting the Giga buff from what I remember. Yeah, their melee attack is going from 36 to 42. So at 36, it was pretty They could tank, but against higher tier units, they tended to not be able to do any damage. And even if you hit rear charges into like... Even if you hit rear charges, it would tend to not do much, because like the melee attack and the charge bonus combined just didn't add up. So the charge bonus is going from 38 to 50. The melee attack is going from 36 to 42. So basically, right now, if you charge an enemy, you only go up to, 74 melee attack on the charge. Now, just to be clear, 74 melee attack can often struggle against late game units. Now it will be 92. 92 won't struggle. Even against Giga late game Super Tomb Guard, if the Grail Guardians get a charge, they should actually deal damage now. the armor-piercing weapon damage has also been increased from 13 to 20. So they're still going to be really tanky. Grail Guardians will still be really tanky, but they'll also be able to crash into people easier, and they'll also be able to sit in combat and deal way more damage. And on a charge, they're going to deal way more damage. This Grail Knight buff is a bit, but the Grail Guardian buff, this one is massive. Hypocrites get more mass. Pegasus Knights. So, melee attack up 2, melee defense up 4, charge bonus up 20, walk speed up, run speed up, charge speed up, and then the health went up by 24. Cool. Okay. So Pegasus Knights going from 3428 to 3632 means that Pegasus Knights will actually be able to stand in melee after a charge and not die. That's what I've said every time. The issue with cavalry, in particular Bretonnian cavalry, is that they could get good charges. They would go like crash into someone, right? But then the problem is, like, they would instantly, the charge bonus started wearing away, they would start dying. Then if you tried to pull out, some of your cavalry would get stuck. But then also because your melee defense was shit, you would start taking like really high damage really quickly. Like even units not meant to kill you, right? Even units that are just like okay units, like fucking Empire Swordsman would start whittling you away, right? So by raising the melee defense on the Pegasus Knights and the Grail Knights by a little bit, that helped alleviate that issue. Raising the melee attack also helps with that issue on Grail Guardians and Pegasus Knights. Grail Guardians will definitely be able to sit in melee and beat the shit out of people now. Royal Pegasus Knights are going up a bit more health. Melee defense up, charge bonus up, walk speed up, charge, yeah, blah, 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 blah. So basically, once again, they're raising the melee defense on cavalry. The issue with cavalry is I think they should definitely have lower stats than actual swordsmen, so that they can't just sit in range and like beat up actual melee. But the problem is their stats were so low that even if you had an amazing charge, you still couldn't win the combat, and you'd have to peel out, you'd have to run away, and that sucked. It was really micro heavy. It was very unfun to deal with. I didn't like it at all. Royal Pegasus mounts. I think that's what you give your leaders. Their mass is up, charge speed up, run speed up, walk speed up. So they're faster. So I think you give your leaders these. Okay. The Super Battle Pilgrims also have their cost reduced. The Unicorn mounts. They're using the incorrect entity settings. Okay. So their walk speed is down, their run speed is up, acceleration is down, charge speed is slightly up, entity mass is slightly up. So it really depends on what incorrect entity settings. Were they really bad? Or were they better? I don't know. The chivalry bonus for fighting warriors of chaos with the ruinous powers to create technology now applies correctly. Originally, the bonus for fighting warriors of chaos was mistakenly coming from the green tide effect. Okay. And then they nerfed the Bordelou Confederation tech got nerfed. Oh, I also saw they did... the diplomatic penalties between Curon and Marienburg have been increased. This should hopefully mean that Luan doesn't just sit on his province and do absolutely nothing the entire game, but actually what he should do is go kill Marienburg, and then... he shouldn't actually attack the Empire. He shouldn't. But he should help try to secure at least the left flank of the Empire. And then I think importantly, this should give him stuff to do. If you ever played an evil faction, so I joked earlier that whenever you're playing a good faction, Wulfric will run down from the north and just and attack you. But the other side of that is Luan just sprints down from the north and attacks you no matter what you're playing. If you're ever playing an evil faction. I'm a bit disappointed here. I was kind of hoping they would buff Luan himself. Luan himself has kind of been power creep pretty bad. And for a dude that's supposed to be super French, like, he's so French that he gets superpowers from it, I feel like he just wasn't good enough for that. That's just my general feeling. I think he's balanced on game 1, and in game 1, legendary lords were overall a bit weaker, because, you know, they didn't want legendary lords winning battles, but game 3 has a lot of extremely powerful legendary lords. Taurox, Manfred, Vlad, Scarbrand. I mean, all the greater demon lords, right? All of them. Archaon, all of those people. Kolek. So I think it would have been fine if the good faction also had a Giga Lord, because Luan is supposed to be like super French. He's like the Superman of France, you know? Demons of Chaos. Have they made them more fun, maybe? Okay, just some price reductions on multiplayer costs. Honestly, nothing here. So they got the, oh, boy. Oh, okay, here we go. We finally have the nerf to Dark Elf Tier 1 Infantry. So, here's the issue. They buffed Dark Elf Tier 1 Infantry a while back, and the problem is Dark Elf Tier 1 Infantry was so good that they were auto-resolving everyone into the goddamn ground. In particular, stacks of Bleak Swords could actually compete with and beat, potentially, not all the time, but have you ever played a multiplayer campaign? Some people did, like Malekith versus Valkia. And people were shocked when, if Malekith got lucky and got the +3 army-wide melee attack bonus, that's a Lord and Hero bonus he could get. If he could get that a few times, he could actually beat the Warriors of Chaos in melee. And Warriors of Chaos are really overpowered. Just to be clear, Warriors of Chaos are really overpowered. So the fact that he could beat an overpowered faction was a bit, Okay. So, Black Arc Crusaders with handbows are losing 3 armor piercing damage. Bleak Swords are going up 10 armor, but losing 3 armor piercing damage. That's a pretty hard nerf on them, mind you. Crone is going up 35 armor on the Manticore. But doesn't Crone sit on her little lawnmower? I think she's supposed to sit on her lawnmower. Yeah, Dark Elves have been so overpowered for so long, man. They really have been. If you ever, the thing is, Dark Elves are one of the only factions that, even with how bad the AI was in Mortal Empires, they were like the only faction that would consistently expand and do amazing. They just had too good of units, is the best way to put it. Cold Wind Chariots and Cold Wind Chariot Mounts, speed up, mass up, acceleration down. Charge speed down a little. Okay, so basically their mass is going up, but they will accelerate worse. Huh. Okay. Dark Pegasus mounts and Dark Pegasus for repeater crossbow. Okay, I don't care about this. These are all mounts. They're just shuffling around mount stats. Multiplayer. I have absolutely no prejudice against multiplayer. I just don't play it, so it doesn't really affect me. Karth got buffed on Brachus. Armor piercing damage up, base weapon damage up. Ravagers of Karth. His special chariots mass up. Shades with dual weapons. Turns to recruit 2-1. They took 2 turns to recruit? Okay. So Shades with dual weapons, melee attack up 4, melee defense down 6. That should actually help because so I lied when I didn't play multiplayer. I don't play multiplayer battles, but sometimes I play multiplayer campaigns. Shades are a frustrating unit. I can just say that. Shades great swords turn to recruit from 2-1. Melee defense up, bonus resist infantry up. So they should allow Shades to be actually used for once. Dwarves. Now I have heard that dwarves, they're nerfing the miners with blasting charges, but I think they're giving them across the board buffs to basically everything else. So that's just what I've heard. We can go look into it now. But I know once again the community was whining really hard because miners with blasting charges were being nerfed, despite the fact they're really, really overpowered right now. Flame cannon, multiplayer cost down. Skills, oh, nothing. Oh, no, here we go. Okay. The Lord, the Thane, the Dwarf Warriors, and the Longbeards, and the Iron Breakers, and all associated regiments renowned are going from bronze shields to silver shields. They're just listing it in a way. It doesn't seem like a big change, but it's a very big change. Okay. So basically, almost every dwarf with a shield is getting more block chance. That will make them way tankier, actually. And this should mean that if dwarves get shot at, it doesn't do as much anymore. But miners with blasting charges did get nerfed. Other than that, it's just all multiplayer cost, which not really that big a deal. Okay, Grand Cathay. I don't think anything was underpowered about Grand Cathay. I don't think anything was overpowered. So it's probably just adjusting them a bit, right? Multiplayer cost, mount, multiplayer cost, mount. Grand Cannon, health up. Fire Rain, Rocket Battery, health up. But like not even by enough to matter, just by a tiny bit. Just some multiplayers. Okay, so Jade Warriors are getting nerfed. Melee defense from 36 to 34. That's pretty brutal. I suppose they are a tier 1 unit. Jade Warriors Halberds, melee attack down, melee defense up. So Jade Warrior Halberds will actually be much tankier now. But Jade Warriors by default are squishier. That's probably fine, particularly if they buff Zhao's start. Because Zhao could make giga tanky Jade Warriors that literally never died. But the issue was his start was just so weak. But Zhao Ming, not Zhao, Meow Ming, Meow, she dies like in every game I play lately. So even a lack of 2 melee defense is gonna hurt her. I wonder if they help her. Probably not. Grimgore Ironhide is once again, at last, not a big green boy. So for those of you who don't understand, every time they adjust Grimgore, for some reason they make him green. He's supposed to be a black orc, not a green orc. There's a difference. Anyway, Grimgore's whole campaign is Grimgore is basically the good guy of the campaign. Grimgore is an abolitionist who is heroically working to dismantle the Chaos Dwarves and their slaving ways. Grimgore is actually the best hero character of the campaign. Better than Franz, better than Luan. He is the ultimate good guy of the entire campaign. Let's see here. Ragnarok spiders are getting bonus versus large up, armor piercing damage up, base weapon up. That's probably fair. Ragnarok spiders are really goddamn weak. Their leadership was low, their damage was low, their bonus was low. I don't think Ragnarok spiders have been scary in so long. This is probably a good thing. Every time I see an Ragnarok spider, I just think like, oh wow, that's not really that scary. Azog the Slaughterer on Skullmuncha. Goes up 200 hit points. Not a bad deal. River Trolls, the Swamp Things. These are the Regiment Renown. Melee attack up, base weapon damage down. Armor piercing damage up. So the Swamp Things will be stronger. Feral Wyvern, health way up by 1200. Leadership up 5. Building damage multiplier up as well. Feral Wyvern, pretty large buff there. Goblin Great Shaman, that's a mount. So just buffing them because they're on the Ragnarok Spider. Grom the Paunch, Entity Mass up. It's a bit confusing. Grom the Paunch is already really good. Goblin Wolf Riders, Forest Goblin Spider, Rider Archers, Lava Spider. All the Goblin Cavalry can now shoot 360 degrees. That's... I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm not sure you want Genghis Goblin running around spamming mounted units 360 degrees shooting you to death. The AI, when it doesn't sack its cavalry, which it does all the time, But when it doesn't sack its cavalry at the beginning of the battle, when it doesn't run them up just to die for free, it actually harasses you the entire game really frustratingly. But they do tend to just sack them every game. Every single game they run them up and die, which is pretty dumb. Lava Arachnarok Spider. So this is like the advanced Arachnarok Spider. It's like the big one. This one is being giga buffed. Melee attack up 12, melee defense up 8, leadership up 10, base damage up 50, armor piercing damage down 10, sure. Then bonus versus large up 6. So, for those of you keeping count, right now the lava, right now it's been patched, but it used to have 72 melee attack against large. It will now have 90 melee attack against large. So Lava Arachnarok Spider, especially with this damage, will now be munching on mounted characters. So this is very powerful. Snotling Pump Wagons, Loony Bogies, Spore Splodas. Model count to 12 on Snotling Pump Wagons. Health up a little bit, but I think the health per model is way lower now, obviously. Charge bonus down, rank depth up. So that's like, instead of in a 1x1 of 4, they now go by like a 6x2. You know what I mean? Okay. Base weapon damage down, armor piercing damage down. So basically they went to 12 models, but they got a damage nerf. Orc Boar Boys got entity mass. Orc Boar Boy Big Guns Regiment of Renown got an entity mass buff as well. Orc War Boss on Wyvern got a pretty large health increase of 1,000. So will Orc War Bosses finally be better than Goblins? No. No, they will not. Orc Boy Chariots, damage up. Savage Orcs. Ooh. Ew. Oh no. They're buffing Savage Orcs. My PTSD. Oh god. I don't know if I like this one. I'm not a big fan of Savage Orcs. There's a large tendency for Savage Orcs to mass up and then beat the shit out of you because they're so hard to kill. So Savage Orcs, 2 more melee attack, 4 more melee defense. Savage Orc Error Boys up 2 melee defense, but it's only 10, doesn't matter. Savage Orc Big Guns up 3 melee defense. Savage Orc Boar Boys up 4 melee defense. Savage Orc Boar Boy Big Guns. Say that 5 times. Savage Orc Boar Boy Big Guns. Entity mass up and melee defense up 6. Okay, so Savage Orcs across the board, really big buffed. Yeah, dude, it's my fucking Cetra PTSD from when you had to fight Savage Orcs with skeletons. And each Savage Orc would kill like 3 skeleton squads. Pump Wagon, same thing. Okay, so all Snotling Pump Wagons are going to 12 models instead of 4. But then they're getting nerfed on stats. But they'll have 12 instead of 4. Stone Trolls, 1 more base weapon damage, 1 less armor piercing. Okay. I guess. High Elves. I'm not really sure what you do with High Elves. Their cavalry's a little weak, but other than that, they're pretty much a completed faction. Okay, so Dragon Princes, fire resist down. Imric, fire resist down. That probably should help fire damage factions actually be able to fight Imric and not do literally no damage to him ever. Looks like most mounts across the board got their mass increase just across all factions. The Ithamar Chariots upkeep way down. Entity mass up. Okay. Northern, this is all multiplayer stuff. Lion Chariots of Chase. Entity mass up. Upkeep cost down by a little bit. Not really a big a deal. Just mass. War Chariots, yeah. Okay. Tyrnok Chariots mass up. War Lions of Chase. That's the infantry, right? Trace, my bad. War Lions of Trace. Oh, no, those are the actual lions. Oh, holy shit, I forgot those are even in the game. Okay, so War Lions, the actual lions, their melee attack up 4, the missile damage resist up as well, entity mass also up. I don't really understand it. Sun Dragon, Moon Dragon, and Star Dragon no longer do flaming melee attacks. Interesting. That was done so that you can actually fight Chaos Dwarves with them. Probably fair if all your dragons can't hurt Chaos Dwarves. Probably. Corn. Blood Crushers, leadership up. Blood Letters, armor and leadership up. Exalted, that's just from... Okay, so Corn... Ooh. Okay, so Fleshhounds of Corn are getting a decent nerf. Less melee attack, less damage by a good bit. Going from... what was that? They used to have 55 damage... Am I blind? No, 65 damage down to 58. So decent nerf on their damage, decent nerf on their melee attack. Fleshhounds are nerfed, but Bloodletters are buffed. And Blood Crushers are buffed. Okay. Mortal units. Chosen, upkeep cost reduced. Chosen, upkeep cost reduced again. Chaos Knights of Corn. Buffed? 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 I thought Chaos Knights were overpowered. That was just my opinion. But I guess they're getting buffed. Okay, so the damage and leadership on Chaos Knights of Corn is going up. Is that going to be for everyone or only Corn? Forsaken of Corn, armor from 85 to 100. You know, I had this complaint the other day. They're pushing the armor of like everything in the game up. Like everything in this game is getting more and more and more armor. Nothing is squishy anymore. It just means that if you don't do armor pen damage anymore, like you just can't do damage. But then in return, everything's getting armor pen damage, right? It's just like, I feel like they need to tone down all the sources of armor pen, but then also tone down armor. Because part of the problem is you have dwarves, right? And dwarves don't even have their unique armor anymore. Like, dwarven armor, like Kislev gets that armor really early, right? Okay. So Forsaken of Corn, armor up. Minotaurs of Corn, nerf. That probably to be expected. Minotaurs of Corn, charge bonus down 10. Melee defense down 3. Melee attack down 2. Okay, so Minotaurs of Corn, pretty hard nerf. Forsaken buff. Yeah. Kislev, oh, please give me some Kislev buffs to the campaign. Please. My god. My god. They are so, they honest to god are the single worst faction in campaign right now. Like Kislev campaign is so it's by far the worst campaign. Period. Boris's start position has been moved when in a multiplayer campaign in Immortal Empires with Astrogoth and Boris both being played. Huh. Reduce the number of factions at war with and holding diplomatic negatives towards Castalton. Katarina now maintains both magical attacks and frostbite contact effects when on her warbear. That'll help. Armored Koshage! Okay, but please can armored... If Zargard don't get buffed, I'm gonna do it, chat. I'm gonna do it. If Zargard aren't buffed to at least be on par with Chaos Warriors... Okay. Armored Koshars, 4 more melee attack, 2 more melee defense. That's pretty good. Armored Koshars with great weapons do more damage and get more melee defense, but they do not get more melee attack. I mean, how much more damage is it? Wait, not really any. Ew. So armored Kassars are going to be tanky and damaging. But then meanwhile, I mean, the great weapons are barely getting buffed. I don't know. Okay. Daz, Hearthblade, Zargard, great weapons. Melee attack up 5 and damage up... Base damage up 4 and armor piercing up 2. So going from a mere paltry, absolutely insignificant... Jesus, what is that? 36? They had 36 damage? God, that's sad. You guys know they only have 80 models in their army, right? Like, Chaos Warriors have 100 models. They only had 80. Zargard only have 80. They had worse stats than Chaos Knights and less models. But they filled the same role. So I'm not saying that, like, all factions should be balanced perfectly, right? But, like, my God, they were just shit. Like obviously some, like, factions should have things they do worse and better, but, like, for a faction like Kislev that should have good melee, because they're supposed to be a range melee hybrid faction. They're not supposed to just spam Kassars and only be ranged, right? So the damage went from 36 to 42? That's pretty good. Griffin Legion entity mass up. Dude, their entity mass was so goddamn bad. I think it'll still be bad. When the game first launched, Griffin Legion was doing amazing. I played a game of them yesterday. They're absolute trash. They're absolute goddamn trash. I don't know what it is. Dude, they need, like, their melee attack and defense boosted by, like, 3 each. They're trash. They're trash. Heavy War Swords entity mass upgraded as well. So armored Kassars are stronger. You might actually want to get them now. Particularly because the regular ones can fight in melee pretty well now. 4 more attack and 2 more defense. That means armored Kassars will definitely be... They'll shred... I always think about it like Empire Footmen. Empire Footmen have low 30s. The fact that they're not as shitty as an Empire Footman now is pretty good. I know. Empire Footmen and armored Kassars are both tier 1, but armored Kassars have less models and they cost more. Horse Archers buffed as well. Upkeep cost down. Melee defense up 2. Armor up 10. It's like a buff, but I don't think it's enough to really matter. The problem with Horse Archers, as I found, is even if you kite with them all the time, even if you get good kiting, good damage, like, they fall off really fast, and you have to build a building for them. And I think they're a tier 2 unit, right? So, like, the problem is you have to have like 5 or 6 of them to get any real damage. And but then by the time you've done that, it's like, why are you not just at Streltsy tier 3? Ice Guard, both variants. Despite having a magical missile weapon, the penetration of the Ice Guard's projectile was relatively low. Therefore, we've raised this value so projectile will penetrate and deal damage to more targets per volley. It's hard to quantify this change, but it's certainly a buff. Okay, I actually do like this change. And let me explain why. Because it keeps Streltsy being the armor pen, you know, high DPS unit. And then it changes Ice Guard to be like the AoE unit. Now, will that make Ice Guard too good? Maybe. Will that make them replace Streltsy? Probably not. So it keeps Streltsy and Ice Guard doing their own thing, which I like, because Kislev as a faction they have a good roster of unique units. The problem is that most of them are just really underpowered. So it's nice to have them getting buffed. Okay, Coastfight Dervishes, armor up by 10. Will Dervishes still lose when charging into melee of archers? Probably. Archers will still probably beat Dervishes in melee because Dervishes are so goddamn terrible. But with 10 more armor, maybe they don't lose to archers. Streltsy, enemy size for allowing splash attacks when changed from medium to small. Max entities hit by splash attacks, 2 to 1. Splash attack, knockback force multiplier. Ew. That's a fairly significant nerf to Streltsy. Basically, I mean, Streltsy are going to do way less damage when shooting into infantry mobs. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe this is a buff. Maybe it's a nerf. Maybe I'm not reading it right. I don't know. We'll see. This seems like a large nerf. Serena Katarina gets, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here we go. Zargard getting buffed. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't buff Griffin Legion more. They broke something, dude. On release, Griffin Legion was like one of my favorite units in the entire game. I love them. I charge them into infantry nonstop. I played them the other day. They charged into Marauders, got a perfect charge, then lost. Like, it used to be they'd charge a squad of low-tier infantry and shred them to half health. Now they charge in, deal like maybe a fifth of their health, and then they get beat up. Zargard are getting 2 melee attack on the regular one. 2 melee attack, and then the damage is going to 42 from 36, which should hopefully make up for the fact that they have less models and tend to die. Zargard Great Weapons are going up 4 melee attack, but that's still only 40. But, okay. They're going up 4 melee attack, and they're going to 42 damage as well. So that should help. That should help. Adamans will no longer siphon experience. Lots of cost changes for Lizardmen, with most of their big dinos getting a slight cost discount. We've also buffed up Croxagors a bit, so they're a lot sturdier in combat. Ancient Salamander has also received a recruitment time reduction, among other buffs, which help it thrive in campaign. The Spirit of Topek Quaddle has also had its bound spells switched to make it a more viable pick. So Lizardmen buffs are definitely interesting. One of the things I think a lot of people didn't know is that almost all their high-end units were cost inefficient. People didn't notice it because funny dino, haha. And by the time you actually got to their late game units, you had won the campaign anyway. So it's like hard to notice when late game units are underpowered. It's really hard to notice that. The late game disasters and the need to like min-max to beat the late game disasters is kind of like, it's kind of like made more people notice what factions actually have a good late game and what don't. Lizardmen did not actually have a good late game. They kind of sort of maybe did, but they actually did not have a good late game because their units were so overcost. I'll wait to see what's happening to Vampire Coast, because Vampire Coast also, in my opinion, didn't actually have a good late game. But let's see here. Bastildon, Solar Engine, ammo up, Blessed Bastildon. Okay, so I'm assuming all Bastildons get more ammo on their boom boom gun. Ancient Salamander, Enter the God, multiplayer cost. I'm gonna ignore all multiplayer costs just for the... Okay. Quaddle, multiplayer cost. Blessed Sar Spears now get Woodsman. Okay. This is the Sacred Cruxagore. This is a Regiment of Renown. Health up, melee defense up 7. That's pretty significant. Perfect Vigor. Physical damage resist gone. Missile damage resist up. Okay, so that actually is a good buff, because this means if they're being shot by magic missiles, they still continue to mitigate the magic missiles, because magic would remove physical damage, but not magical damage. The melee defense and the hit points should also more than compensate for the reduced physical damage resistance. 7 melee defense is a lot of defense, if you guys didn't know that. Just multiplayer. Cruxagore. Okay. Cruxagore are finally being updated for a new age to actually have normal melee attack and defense. Remember what I said? Footmen have low 30s. So, Cruxagore having that low of melee attack sucked. Okay, so here's what they're doing. They're lowering their bonus versus infantry, but raising the damage on their weapon. So basically, Cruxagores will perform slightly better into infantry by being tankier, but they'll perform a lot better into large monsters by actually being able to hit them ever with any attack ever. And then that's just the same thing for all of these. Sacred Cruxagore, yeah, it's just the same thing across the board. Sacred Kroxigor are just getting only buffed, though. Melee defense up 6, health up. So Sacred Kroxigor. You guys ever played Lizardmen and you ran Kroxigor into, like, footmen and shit, and then you notice that they're kind of getting whittled away and dying, and you're just sitting there like, this doesn't seem right. Salamander Hunting Pack and Regiment of Renown. Effective range, launch velocity. Okay. Where was, did I skip? Oh, here's Ancient Salamander. Okay, turns to recruit from 2 to 1, health up 1,000, launch velocity up. Okay. That's good. Norska. I wonder what they're doing for Norska. Marauder Chieftain on a Mammoth, upkeep cost reduction. Feral Mammoth, cost reduction. War Mammoth, cost reduction. Soul Crusher, War Mammoth, cost reduction. War Mammoth with a War Shrine, cost reduction. Fimir Bale Fiend gets more fire resist. Or sorry, missile resist. So Fimir Bale Fiend of Fire and Shadows gets more missile resist. I'm assuming that's a hero? That sounds like a hero. I haven't played much Norska. I hate Norska. Marauder Champions. Nerfed. Huh. Marauder Champions will now deal less damage, less armor piercing, and have less melee attack. Marauder Champions with great weapons, less melee attack, less... Or no, the great weapons one. Okay. So the Marauder Champions baseline are getting nerfed, but the great weapons versions, they're going down 1 melee attack to get 8 melee defense. So the great weapons ones should actually be way more capable of dueling now, but the regular ones are getting nerfed. I'm not really... I mean, I noticed that the AI would spam Marauder Champions a lot, but... Yeah. Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots. Armor up. Base damage up. Okay, so they get... Their missile damage is up and their armor... Okay, so Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots will do way more range damage. Femur Warriors. Melee attack down 4. But their damage... Okay, so Fimir Warriors are becoming more anti-range, I guess. Their melee attack is dropping, their armor-piercing damage is dropping, but they're gaining 25 missile resist. Now, Fimir Warriors with great weapons... Okay, I see what they're doing. Fimir Warriors are becoming like a almost shielded unit, if you want to call it that, because they're gonna have more missile resist, but in combat, they'll deal less damage. Fimir Warriors with great weapons... Actually, I have no fucking idea. Fimir Warriors with great... Okay, so Fimir Warriors will now have 25 missile resist, but in return, they're getting nerfed. So hopefully they don't get poked apart as much by arrows, but now the rewards are going to be much lower. Yeah. Yeah, so they'll have missile resist, but they'll be less good against infantry. Frostworm leadership up and damage up. Frostworm was pretty bleh, so that makes sense. Okay. Nurgle, this one is extremely substantial. Nurgle is losing the 5 speed reduction from Mark of Nurgle. That one's really big. Rotflies, Plague Drones, Plague Toads, and Pox Riders have all been buffed. So basically the problem with Nurgle was if you played Nurgle, you just thought to yourself, I should play Warriors of Chaos. Because Nurgle demons were not good. And the issue is, because Nurgle demons were not good, you just wanted to spam the Warriors. But then if you were just spamming the Mortals, if you were spamming the Chaos Warriors in Nurgle, why wouldn't you just go play you know, the actual Chaos Warriors of Nurgle, right? So, I'm gonna skip the Regiment's Renown because they just get the normal effects anyway for the most part. Let's see, Barons of the Bog. Okay, I'll look through it. So upkeep cost up, leadership up, base damage down, armor piercing up, run speed up, acceleration up, entity mass up. So Pox Riders, these Pox Riders will they'll have more leadership and more armor piercing damage with more mass. Okay. Nurglings. Splash attacks force, so they'll stun more, so I guess they could tank more, and they splash less. So hopefully they can actually get kills ever. Plague drones are going from 10 miles to 12. Health slightly increased. Melee attack from 33 to 36, which is good. Armor piercing damage up. Entity mass up. Plague drones will be able to do more. In my opinion, they're still going to be shitty Vargheists, but they might actually be worth building now. Again, not every faction needs the same units, right? Like Undead get Vargheist. That's their best unit, right? Nurgle can have a Vargheist light that's not as good as Vargheists, and then, you know, have other units that they support it with, right? So that's fine. It's just they need to actually be worth building. Anyone on a Mount Rotfly gets more entity mass. Yeah, and it seems those buffs just go to all the Plague drones. Yeah, the Death's Head get it too. Model count to 12, health slightly up, melee attack slightly up, armor piercing, entity mass. Pox Riders, upkeep up, leadership up, regular damage down, armor piercing up, run speed up, entity mass up. Okay, so same thing there. Plague Bearers of Nurgle, armor up by 5, leadership up by 5. That's just regular Plague Bearers. Okay. Plague Bearers are pretty shit. I mean, that's really all I have to say. They're kind of the fodder of the world. You'd think they would do damage if they ever got into range, but they don't do damage even if they get into range. They're just really bad. They're just bad unit. I mean, this helps, but I doubt. To be honest, I think Plague Bearers are still. I mean, it'll help. Plague Toads, leadership up, upkeep up, same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing as earlier. Rod Flies, it'll be the same thing. Mortal units, Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Nurgle. Yeah, so the -5 speed from the Mark of Nurgle has been reduced. Or sorry, removed. So Nurgle can actually move at a normal speed, which calls into question now, because the issue now, in my opinion, is if all their mortal units move at normal speed, won't that cause the issue that all these buffs to their demons gets overridden? Because the normal units actually being able to move at a normal speed will probably counteract some of this stuff. I think the only one that maybe, the Death's Head Plague Drones, because with 12 models instead of 10, they effectively have 20% more damage. So they might be able to whittle people away with their ranged attack before going in. But yeah. Ogre Kingdoms. Yeah. Okay, so Crushers are getting buffed. More damage on Crushers, more damage on Crushers with great weapons. That makes sense. Because they were a really giga late game unit, and I finally built them and used them, and my exact thoughts were, oh, well, it's not bad, but it's not exactly like a tier 5 good. Gracious Goldtooth. Deceleration up, turn speed up, acceleration up. Gracious, I also heard they worked on some of his animations to make him actually usable. Noblar Scrap Launcher, turn speed down, entity mass up, turn speed down a second time, and acceleration down. So the Noblar Scrap Launcher should be able to move out of melee now, but Iron Guts armor to 100. What did I say? Every unit gets its armor buffed. Nothing is squishy anymore. Imagine trying to use an army that doesn't have armor piercing, right? Like imagine you actually try to play without spamming armor piercing in this game anymore, man. I swear to God, who could you hurt? Like witch elves? That's it? So Iron Guts get more melee defense, get more armor, and get a bonus versus infantry. Iron Guts will definitely be a terror of the battle now. I mean, remember, 5 bonus versus infantry is 5 more damage and 5 more melee attack. 5 is, I think, isn't that what took the Nechekharan warriors? The warriors of Nechekhara? It took them from being skelly boys that nobody ever built to, oh my god, they're destroying every skeleton. It's a lot. It's a lot, especially, well, it probably matters less because they only have, what, 16 models, I think, of Iron Guts. So 5, like, okay, 5 damage on 16 is way less than 5 damage on 120, right? But it's still good because it gives them melee attack. Either way, there's a good buff to Iron Guts. Iron Blaster. Upkeep costs down. Enemy mass upkeep. Okay, so it turns slower. It accelerates slower. Same thing. Ogre Pistols. They're more accurate by far. At longer range. And they have more ammo. So Ogre Pistols. Now remember, an Ogre Pistol is still a rifle. It's a pistol in an ogre's hand, which means it's a goddamn rifle. So, not even a rifle. It's like a cannon. It's not like a cannon. It's not like a fucking, ship of the line ship cannon, right? But it's still like a cannon, right? Just a mini cannon. So, them being more accurate with more ammo, they will definitely be able to pick people off better. Mornfang Cavalry. Upkeep costs down. Mornfang Cavalry with Iron Fist. Upkeep costs down. Mornfang Cavalry, good weapons. Upkeep costs down. That's it. Okay. Okay, so they're saying Poison Wind, Globadiers, and Mortars AP ratio nerfed. Doom Wheels, Plague Monks, and Sensor Bearers have been buffed. That's probably good. I'd like to see some other changes. Hopefully they have some other changes coming. Add a +5 leadership to Rat Ogres to Skaven Technology Practice Gordards. Hopefully Rat Ogres don't just, get shot a few times and run now. Okay. The Skaven now have access to their Brightstone Mine landmark in Mount Gunbad. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Doomwheel. Melee attack up to 26. Melee defense up by 5. Okay, Doomwheel will be able to sit in melee a bit better. And its damage is up a bit more. Tretch Craventail is going to like that. Its health is up a little bit too. Poison Wind Mortars get 2 more damage, 2 less armor piercing. This is why CA's community is the whiniest fucking bitch-made community ever in all human history. They reduced their armor pen by 2. That's not even 5% less damage. Are you fucking kidding me? People are throwing up a bitch fit. I'm never gonna build mortars now that they've been nerfed. Okay. Plague Monk Sensor Bearers. Melee defense up by 2. Upkeep costs down. Oh. Upkeep on Plague Monks. That's not what they needed. They didn't need to be cheaper. Skaven already struggle with having to field 9 armies of cheap units. They didn't need to be cheaper. They needed to be stronger. Whatever. Oh, but here we go. The Avalanche Mortars are losing 16 armor pen for 4 more damage. Okay, so these guys have lost a good 15% damage. The Avalanche Mortars will no longer be annihilating entire packs of knights on an alpha strike. Doomwheel buff, Doomwheel buff. Okay, overall, I'm gonna be honest, I'm very, very underwhelmed by this. Very underwhelmed by this, not gonna lie. Yeah, this Sensor Bearer thing, this was not at all what they needed. 2 more melee defense is good. It is good, but it's still really low melee defense. They didn't need to be less upkeep, they just need to be stronger to be worth building. Overall, very, very underwhelmed by this. This whole thing is very... Yeah. Slaanesh. Okay, Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh. Okay, so the resistance for Slaanesh was nerfed from 10 to 5%. So, Slaanesh frontline should no longer by default win, which is, you know, not exactly good, in my opinion, to have a frontline win for a cavalry faction. A cavalry faction that can just frontline you to death? I don't know, man. Daemon into Slaanesh buffed. Really? Huh. Demon Prince, that's just their mark being nerfed. Let's see, Exalted Seeker Keeprids, armor up. Everything armor up. Nothing gets to be squishy anymore. The Fiends of Slaanesh and Hellflyers can now hide in forest. Hellstriders go from bonus versus large 15 to 5. And their melee attack from 28 to 24. Little bit of an over nerf on that one, I dare say. Okay. Hellstriders are Slaanesh with Hell Scourges. Upkeep up. Melee attack down by 4. Melee defense down by 2. Wow. Keeper of Secrets, armor up 10, leadership up 5. Nikari, upkeep cost down by 25. Armor from 5 to 15. This is the change Nikari needed, for sure. Spawn of Slaanesh, that's just the nerf. Then this is all their mortal units getting nerfed. Chosen of Slaanesh. Okay, so Hell Scourges will do 1 more armor pen damage, but they're losing the melee attack on Chosen Warriors Slaanesh with Hell Scourges. They're losing 2 melee attack, but they're getting poison, which I thought was... Wait, isn't that just a buff then? They're getting poison, but losing 2 melee attack. Huh. Lots of changes here. The Chaos Knights are being buffed. So all Chaos Knights are being buffed. I don't know why. Chaos Knights are really good, in my opinion. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Okay, so basically just an across-the-board nerf on Slaanesh. This is done for multiplayer, but unfortunately... Well, okay, so that's a problem. The issue, in my opinion, is... So if you played Slaanesh, Slaanesh was overpowered because their frontline... I actually played Slaanesh. Their frontline just sort of automatically wins everything, ever. But when the AI plays Slaanesh, they never actually fight out a battle, so they just auto-resolve and lose every time. So, Empire, hopefully Empire, you know, gets buffed, because they're pretty bad. Balthazar Gelt is now faster on his mount. Okay. Demogryph Knights, leadership up 5, melee attack up 2, damage up 1, armor piercing damage up 1, and they do more stun. Halberds, attack up 2, damage up 1, armor piercing damage up 1. Is that it? Imperial Pegasus mounts are faster with more speed. Or sorry, faster with more mass. Oh, this is a big one. Okay. The Luminarch of Hysh. Okay. So the Luminarch of Hysh, these motherfuckers, its reload time is going down by half. So it will shoot twice as fast. And its acceleration is going down. Its turn speed is going down. So it'll basically act now like a more mobile artillery piece, and it will annihilate people from range if you actually let it shoot. I've actually seen some videos of this one. It does annihilate people. War wagons are gonna be faster with more mass. Ammunition, a primary weapon, 144 to 150. Who would ever need that much ammo? Okay. Volkmar the Grim, when he's on his war altar of Sigmar. Mass up, speed up, acceleration down, charge speed up, entity mass up, turn speed down. So he'll turn around slower, but once he'll have an easier time getting into combat. War wagon. Ammunition down. Mass up. Huh. War wagon mortars move much faster and have more entity speed. Kind of shitty, actually, that they're losing this. I mean, were war wagons really overpowered? I don't think anyone could ever shoot 35 times. The entity mass going up maybe makes up for it, so I don't get stuck and killed. Witch hunters gaining armor, because nothing can be squishy anymore. Okay. State Troop Standards now provides its intended leadership buff. It wasn't? Cetra, the Imperishable. Yeah, Cetra, I don't think any of the Tomb Guard need buffs or nerfs, right? They're pretty fine. Cetra gets way more mass on his Chariot of the Gods. Probably good. I don't think anything will ever beat him being on the War Strength, though. Because when the War Strength charges, it does contact damage. And I played a Cetra campaign recently, and I was doing like 50 kills per charge. I shit you not. It was just going crazy. Yeah. Bone Giant, melee defense up. Yeah, not really anything here. I think Tomb Guard are fine. Nothing really to say about that one. Now we have Zinch. What are we doing for Zinch? So pink horrors get more armor because nothing can be squishy anymore. Flamers as Zinch get more projectile velocity, which is probably good. That thing did not move very fast. That projectile did not move very quickly. Mortals of Zinch, just some upkeep cost reduction. Zinch was a bit... They had a really cool, like, color scheme and everything. They were really cool, but they weren't... Like, Chaos Knights get buffed like everyone. Vampire Coast. Okay, what do you guys get? Giga Nerves. Okay. Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob loses 30 range. Their bombers lose a shitload of damage. Their deck droppers melee better, so you know that's pretty good. Deck droppers all around the board, they melee more. Deck droppers. Oh wait, no, they melee less. Wait, seconds. Yeah, wait, they melee less, so they got nerfed on that. Okay. So deck droppers nerfed, bombers nerfed, pistolmen nerfed. Born ghouls can hide in the forest now. And animated hulks lost armor, lost melee attack, and lost damage. And that's it. Vampire Coast has been eliminated. Wow, that's pretty brutal. They're not that great. They're okay. They're not that great. I wonder why they went so ham on them. Vampire Counts. Yeah, as I was talking about earlier. So Graveguard lose magic attacks. Old Graveguard and Black Knights all lose magic attacks. Crypt Horrors are also getting a bit of a melee nerf. There's a health nerf and a melee defense nerf. So this should help Vampire Coast not beat everyone in Melee. It might go too far. I don't know. Probably not. Vampire counts have been doing really good. Even in multiplayer, I don't really care. In multiplayer campaigns, they were overpowered as fuck. In single player, they were unbelievable fuckingly overpowered. Literally ruined the game with how overpowered they are. Could not even play them anymore. Warriors of Chaos changes. Chaos Dragon no longer flames. Chaos Knight damage. Makes sense. Swords of Chaos get 1 leadership. Okay. The Sibilant Slaughtercade. Well, that's it. Okay. Bilious Thundergruff is now faster. The Chaos Giant. Dragon Ogre Shegoth. Buffed. Summoners of Rage. Are Dragon Ogres buffed? Upkeep down. Okay, so it's just an upkeep down. Forsaken, run faster. No, that's only the special Forsaken. That's it. Okay. Wood Elves. What do we got for you, Wood Elves? Through 10 less base damage, 30 more armor piercing, and he gets a building damage modifier, and he does more knockback. Huh. Durthu does even more Durthuing. Fixed an issue where Glade Guard buffs weren't being applied to fire and poison variants. That's interesting. Thralllock Tree has been returned to Val's Anvil. The Wood Elf Glade Captain hero now prides his passive effect from boosting local income. The problem I have... The problem I have with Wood Elves is that they're really boring to play. You basically set up a Doom stack and you get like, you slowly like get more and more in it, and then you're like, yay! And then you get to the end, and then you're like, oh. Because you realize that the AI can't hurt you anymore, and you can't do anything anymore, because it's like a kind of a boring game at this point, and then you quit. But until that point, they're fun. I think what Wood Elves need is more unit variety. I know they have a lot of unit variety, but they need, like, so many of their units overlap that they need to make them more diverse, right? Like, if you're going with trees, then Dryads are your damage, the mid-tier units are your tanks, and then Treemen tend to be like your giga damage dealers, right? Okay, so what do we got here? Durthu does more damage. Coatl does less damage. Coatl got nerfed. Durthu got buffed. Coatl got nerfed. Huh. Ancient Treeman and Malevolent Ancient Treeman. Enemy size for allowing splash attacks, medium to large. Oh boy. Treeman and Malevolent Treeman. Health up, damage down, but armor piercing damage way up, and more stun. So Treeman, big buff. Big buff. But yeah, the problem is like is Wood Elves, if you're playing like for the tree people, I think on the elf side you have a lot of variety. You've got cavalry, you've got tanky frontliners, you've got damaging flankers, you've got archers, you've got lots of variety of archers, right? But then on like the tree side, you've got like the only, basically Drysha's got a lot of tree stuff, right? And Drysha's neat, but Durthu doesn't really, and Durthu can be a bit eh. Okay, so Great Stag Knights, more mass, missile block chance increase. Unicorn mounts. Well, this is useless because they were using the wrong entity settings, so it literally doesn't matter what they change it to. Wild Riders get more mass. Wild Rider shields get more mass. Wild Riders with Kernaus get more mass. Sisters of Thorn get more mass. Hawk Riders, upkeep cost increase. Melee attack way increased. Melee defense giga increased. Charge bonus super duper increased. Huh. So running into melee with Hawk Riders becomes way more viable now. Like way more viable. interesting. Any campaign. In cases where a faction had a mission-driven confederation, a small boost has been applied to the confederated faction, making it less likely to die before the player can complete the mission. That's interesting. Prologue. Breaks the potential softlock, Realms of Chaos. Reduce the number of factions at war with the Ice Court at the start of the Realms of Chaos campaign. The visibility of the Chaos Realms is now quickly saved upon reloading the game. Battles. New endless survival battles. Hold out against growing waves of enemies in 25 new endless survival battles. It's a more casual, cooperative battle experience. Each one represents a different race and can be accessed from the custom battle and multiplayer menus. These battles can be played co-op or solo, but co-op without the 5 players. I mean, that could be fun, I guess. Maybe. Enemies will periodically spawn and attack you, featuring every unit from the chosen enemy race. Each map has 3 capture points, with 1 starting within the player's deployment. Each capture point gives you supplies that can be used on reinforcements, upgrades, and replenishments. Difficulty is scaled both on player count and time survived. These battles cannot be won. Here we see the Pillar of Bone endless survival battle versus the Greenskins. Dev note. We're always looking at how our battle maps can be improved. As we had a quality assurance sweep of many maps in Warhammer 3 and track down some of the problems affecting these play spaces. Below is a comprehensive list of changes we've made so far. I'm not looking through all that. Articulated vehicle collision overhaul. No. Lower Fire got a visual update. Lots of graphical improvements, lots of audio improvements. New missile block icon. Okay. Bunch of UI changes. Up next. 3.1 is very rapidly approaching. Because as hard as we can believe it is, we've actually got more stuff to deploy that we could fit. Okay, details, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that's it. Yay, there's a 3.0 update. Yay. What's the most interesting? Well, dwarves might be interesting. Okay, so, I mean, let me go through the list here. We're going to go bottom to top, okay? Wood Elves didn't really get anything. Treeman went from Doomstack to Doomstack. Warriors of Chaos, I mean, nothing changed. Vampire Counts, they might be worth playing now that they actually got nerfed. Vampire Coast got giga nerfed. Maybe I'm just bad with them, I don't know. Zinch got some, like, nothing, really. I mean, Pink Horror's got a little bit better. The Flamer Velocity might make it more fun, I'm sure. Tomb King's really nothing. Empire basically got nothing. Oh, blunt, they basically got nothing. Slanesh just got giga nerfed. Oops. Skaven, basically nothing, unfortunately. I mean, I guess if you like Doom Wheels, you know, Doom Wheels. Ogre Kingdom's actually got some good changes. Their high tier cavalry is good. Their Iron Guts are way better. Their Ogre Pistols are way better as well. Everything's better. Nurgle got way better as well. Just across the board, way better. Maybe some good stuff to do there. Norska. I totally forgot what they were even doing with Norska. Marauder Champions with great weapons got way better. So that's about it, though. Mammoths got cheaper. I mean, Norska got a bit stronger, a little bit. Lizardman. Did Lizardman really get any changes? It just said Kroxigor. So, if you want to do Kroxigor, if you want to use Ancient Salamander, I mean... Kislev. Kislev actually looks way better now. Armored Kossars will be able to actually deal damage. Zargard will actually deal damage. Ice Guard might actually be worth building. Horse Archers... Maybe? I don't know. Cornflakes didn't really get anything. Not really anything worth noting. High Elves definitely got nothing worth noting. Greenskins definitely got some shit worth noting, though. The Giga buff to a Ragnarok Spider. The complete redesign of the Snotling Pump Wagons. The Savage Boy buffs. Those ones are pretty big. The 360 shooting for their cavalry, their horse cavalry. So that's going to be extraordinarily impactful. Grand Cathay, a little bit of a nerf. That's about it, right? Yeah, just a little bit of a nerf to Jade Warriors. Depending how you look at it, a little bit of a buff. Definitely, probably a buff to Jade Warriors with Hellbeards. Probably. Dwarves. Miners got nerfed, but all their shielded people are now going to fuck over range. So if you try to fight dwarves using range, I assure you, you will have a much worse time with your life. Dark Elves. Bleak Swords got nerfed, which changes their campaign way more than you think. Shades. This is really important. Shades got their turns to recruit reduced, which way better. The Bleak Sword nerf should hopefully make their early game less like just run up Bleak Sword, shoot enemy, not pay attention. Daemons are chaos. I don't think I get anything. They're just yeah. Bretonnia, this one is big. Bretonian high-end cav giga buffed. If you actually get Bretonnia to late game, like my god, you're gonna really be in late game, eh? You're gonna really be late gaming it up, is what I'm saying. For Beastmen, the Bestigor Herd buff, 6 more melee defense and 4 more leadership. It's not like mind-blowing, but it does mean if you actually play Beastmen with Bestigor Herds, you'll have a bit of a more fun time. Lots of buffs to shitty magic, some nerfs to the overperforming magic, big nerfs to the undead healing. I don't know why they didn't put this down in the undead. Maybe because they didn't want to list all the undead nerfs in the same spot. It would maybe annoy people. Because once again, the League of Legends CA community is very, very, very whiny. And yeah. Bit of a whiny whiners right there. And that's about it. So hopefully with these AI changes, the game will play a bit better. And the landmark changes will be better. And everything should hopefully be better. So that is the 3.0 update. Thank you all for watching.